Millworks?
So today, Millworks invited me to be part of their education series, and they came in. They asked me to present to small business owners, and I was happy to do so. So we talked about cannabis in the workplace for an hour and a half. Employers want to understand their rights in the workplace, what they can and cannot do, what their obligations are. We talked a lot about the medical authorization for cannabis, what that means in the workplace. A couple of employers came in and wanted to know if they could set a zero tolerance. We talked a little bit about drug testing, not a whole bunch, because that's just a whole other level when you get into drug testing. We also talked about accommodation in the workplace and how an employer must accommodate a worker who has medical authorization for cannabis or is addicted to cannabis. And the other thing that we kind of, took people down off the ceiling, cannabis been around for a long time. The sky didn't fall because cannabis is now legal, but it's forced us to talk about it, and that's always a good thing. And so when we talk about cannabis, we're talking about alcohol, we're talking about opioids, we're talking about coming to work fit to do that job. Employers have a very large responsibility under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, under human rights. Under the Act, they have a responsibility to keep their employees safe, all of them. Under human rights, they have a duty to accommodate. They have to train their supervisors. They have to train their workers. We encourage employers to get policies in place, decide if they're going to have designate safety-sensitive positions, teach their employees about the policy. There are a lot of points for employers to take away from this. I very clearly and very intentionally, when I gave them, they all got a little booklet when they left, and I very intentionally identified where I got my information. So Google is a really good source, but be careful. Be careful, you're going to legislation, you're not going to blogs, and people have all kinds of opinions, but there's a lot of misinformation. So they can go back to some of my sources and they're public sources. I encourage people to go to the Ontario Cannabis site, get educated. Go to Health Canada, get educated. There were also lots of questions from parents, right? What do I do with my 19-year-old, and how do I have this conversation? And we encourage them to get that information from public health sources. But it starts with good, solid information and taking the emotion out. It's same with the employees, same around the dinner table. And so we're all getting educated, and that's a good thing.